For the last part of this multi-step agent process, today we'll be going over the COO agent. So the COO agent, you can think as the Chief Operating Officer agent. And what we have in here within the COO agent, when you think of a Chief Operating Officer, that's like the president of the business that runs the business, that check into everything from emergencies. That's someone where things need to be escalated to. They talk to the first to the front desk people that's picking up the phone every day. They're looking at team accountability. They're looking at customer service experience reviews. They're looking at equipment. Essentially, the president, okay, they're looking at current capacity. They're looking at everything in the business. It's almost like COO, CEO type of situation, but they're like the president. So in this case, what will we do? We will have a number of prompts within the COO agent, and then we will look at Blue Wave's current situation. So this is a plumbing company. So a real company, this is like a summary dashboard, but a company will have these service Titan or house call pro. So for example, in this one, revenue is around 2.2 million, six techs, SDE is 857K. So I think that's around what, 40% ish of annual revenue. And then the current valuation based off that, and I think that's two times SDE. This week had 11 jobs, and we will be going over what needs to be done. So I will now bring up the prompt. So for this agent, when we look at the prompt for the COO agent, this has a supplier agent, vendor agent, etc. However, if I come in here for the COO agent, so you're a COO agent for a small to mid-sized business. You are acting as the virtual chief operating officer. So essentially, its role all the time is to help to run the business on a day-to-day without needing to be in every conversation, to be looking at the data, tracking things, the moving parts, and then be able to send stats to and summaries and analysis to the actual team members or the actual CEO, COO of the company. So take meeting notes, status updates, job lists, team messages, verbal descriptions. And within the sub-agents, you have a daily operation dispatcher. So it's looking at calls. Okay, which calls can I make the team the most amount of money? And then from there, okay, looking at the geography and thinking, okay, do we have to reach out to clients, and then dispatching the technicians. Okay, flag jobs that are missing information, no address, etc. So it's looking at the data of the business, and then looking at schedule for the next few days, what's on schedule, what needs to be rescheduled. And the next part, second two, is team accountability. And in the home service business, hiring is a huge problem, especially the technicians, not just on the hiring part, on the maintaining them part, on what they need to do, on keeping them accountable, especially to keep the trucks clean, etc. Obviously, this doesn't check if you keep the trucks clean, but in terms of tools, do you have the necessary tools to get the jobs? Who's behind a weekly summary of what happened, performance? You have the customer experience, looking at reviews, review requests. Then from there, equipment, fleets, agents. All these are sub-agents, and inventory and parts. What do we need to do? Looking at, okay, what did the team use the most for the week? What do we have? What we don't have? What needs to be added? If there's something that we're seeing there's a rise in use, to continue to perhaps demand that more. And then, yeah, so this last part tells you exactly how to use the agent. So now that we have this context, let's come into Claude. And within Claude, we go into project. And within this project, I call it SMB Agent Analysis Project. If you look at my other videos, I already went over the Chief Financial Officer, the SEO analysis in terms of marketing. And in this one, I'll be going over the COO agent. So I have the file to add here. So I'm going to just add this, open. And then now all I will say, use the COO agent to run a thorough analysis. And this will start a new conversation using Sonnet 4.6, building a slide deck gift cloud source. I mean, cloud is getting updated every day. It was up, I think we have Sonnet. I mean, I think there was a new update that came out recently. Um, I'll probably update it after. But so what it's doing right now, as Cloud is running, it's saying a number of things. It's reading the files. So that's one of the available tools Cloud have. So it's able to read, write, edit, has something called bash, and a number of other items. So I think this will take a little bit of time. So as you can see, I give it the context here on the right hand of the Blue Wave master case study MD, and then I give it the prompt. So in your case, you'll give it the file of your company, SOPs, concurrent context of your company, and then from there you'll use the agent to give you weekly briefs and summaries. So one thing you can do as you go over things like this, you can set some sort of like routine. And within Cloud Routine, what this does is give you daily or weekly automations, however you set it up. And it obviously you can connect it to a number of APIs or webhooks or routines, etc. So for example, this daily automations that I have, all it does is every morning it sends me things in the financial markets, looking at what's going on. Allegedly, S&P and Nasdaq had the best quarter in 6 years, and so that's what it does. And go on, it just summarizes the story. I mean, it's a bit more in depth. It sends this to my email, and they also send it to a Slack channel that I have. So again, so you set a routine to have these automations done for you on a scheduled basis, and I think if you go on schedule as well, you can also do these daily or weekly briefs where you pretty much have these tasks and have them run on a consistent basis for you as well. And this obviously keeps your computer awake. So again, CoWork is advancing as a very fast pace where it's being updated consistently. The Anthropic team is consistently using it for financial uh, and legal needs as well. So I will come back when this comes, and we'll see what the result is. All right. The analysis completed, and we will see right away. So right away, it gives you a nice title up here, and it runs it on a weekly basis for you. So from there, it looks at all the details, looking at what to flag, the technicians, the inputs, what you put into it, and the priorities. So with the priorities, it's looking at the next week's schedule, different addresses of the clients, the people. Apologies on that. So looking at everything. So as you can see, Monday unassigned. So these are the unassigned jobs. So sick days open, no status update, markets calls today. Do not assign a tech until call is made and scope confirmed. So essentially, it's flagging what's missing currently in the business and where the team needs to pay attention. So Grandview on hold, no dispatch, $30,000 on account receivable, overdue in 46 days. That's another thing that kills a lot of small and medium-sized businesses. They go and do a job for a person, and the person does not pay them right away. Again, they have overheads, large overheads. They have people to a number of bills. They have to make payrolls, and before you know it, they're not able to sustain these things. On hold payment, pending payment, and then April 15th. So it gives you pretty much a weekly schedule, what to hold, team accountability. We can come look at that here. So Carlos, slab leak Wednesdays, action needed load leak detection equipment Monday night before leaving shop. So it tells the team what it needs to do, patterns to flag Devon has recurring accountability gap. This is the second time. Role from last week's schedule. Owner should review whether workload or reliability is the root cause. Again, just looking at things on a week-to-week basis, what's happening, what's not happening, customer experience, looking at all the reviews, and it's giving you feedback on the reviews. So if I come on this side, I so this is like a message in email. I'm in the for following order in replacement last week. If you have 60 seconds, we'd love a Google review. It means the world to a local business like ours. Here, link the review link here. Thanks for trusting Blue Wave. Amazing. Then from there, you have revenue risk, you have open complaints, and then again, just drafting email. It's just operational stuff. That's what we call COO. And then reactivation, revenue campaigns. It looks like demands, reviews, payments, people you have to call. This is almost like the dirty works. This is the things that save you time. Looking at the fleet cost, sub-function inventory parts. As you can see, it's not as fun as the finance or financial agent or the marketing agent or the SEO agent. However, this is the stuff where you closing all the gaps in your business in terms when it comes to saving time, looking at valuations, understanding how to grow the business, the accountability part that has to do with the technicians. This is what this covers. It still does looks at the business, what needs to be done, the reviews, the dirty stuff, and then it has a growth plan for you because at the end of the day, it is the COO agent. Where needs to remove concentration risk. Essentially, you have a customer that's a large part of your revenue. How to grow the business, whether do you hire a journeyman or another licensed plumber, and then okay, how do you grow it from here? Campaigns, how do you get more customer review? How do you upsell? So there's some revenue aspect to it, but it's on a day-to-day basis that gives you a way to grow the business, to reduce revenue leaks, and continue to run operations smoothly. So if you'd like to chat, please use find my info in the description below. And yes, these agents will be available in my free school community. And please like and subscribe. See you soon.